My name is Ryan Sutton, and I'm currently a student at White Mountains Community College in New Hampshire. My project title is A GIS Analysis of the American Marten in New Hampshire. The objective of this project is to see if conservation areas are effectively dispersed throughout the American Marten habitat. Here are the data sources that I used. I had national elevation data, some vegetation data, watershed, both polygon and line, had conservation land, had clear-cut areas for 1995, and townships. I also had the habitat requirements that I found from a wildlife plan for the state of New Hampshire. Some challenges that I had was using the spatial model builder. I utilized that to build the entire analysis and run that solely from the spatial model builder, which I thought would be interesting and challenging at the same time. And another problem that I had was figuring out how to merge raster files. And it's something that I just needed to do a little research on to find out exactly what to do. I utilized both raster files and shape files. The original data sources were not in the coordinate system that I needed them in, so I needed to convert almost everything to NAD 83 State Plane, New Hampshire, FIPS 2800 feet. At this point, I'd like to go through my spatial model briefly. Here is the elevation merge, and it was extracted by the watershed, in which I created a hillshade as well as a merge DEM. I ran a calculation to convert meters to feet. I then needed to do a Euclidean distance on the watershed line shapefile. That allowed me to find the ridge lines. And then for my vegetation, I needed to reclass that to obtain only the values that I was interested in, and I changed the other values to no data. I then extracted that with the watershed polygon shapefile, and that allowed me the preliminary habitat criteria. You can see ridgeline distance from the Euclidean distance of less than or equal to 1 mile, and elevation mask greater than or equal to 3,000 feet, and wherever the vegetation exists. I then converted the clear cut to a raster, and I needed to use the integer function to keep with the how I was gaining my criteria and doing my analysis. That allowed me to use the isNull function to exclude the clear-cut areas in which they would not be found. I then extracted that from the New Hampshire Township mask to exclude everything but what was in the state of New Hampshire. I reclassified that to only include the values that I had predicted, and then that gave me the full final habitat of the American Marten. And then for comparative purpose, I took the conservation land shapefile and included that in the criteria, and that allowed me to see where all the conservation land for American Martens actually was. The results of my analysis are that most of the habitat that I found for the American Marten is presently conserved. Only 3,488 acres is currently not conserved. That's only 3% of the overall habitat from the analysis. I would like to give a special thanks to Peg Heaney, my professor at White Mountains Community College, and thank you for taking the time to view my project.